All right, Frank Miranda here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's the owner of Frank Charles Miranda Law, also does title work, real estate, litigation as well, and he's one of the attorneys that actually goes to the courtroom. Is that right, Frank?
Yeah. Nowadays, it's all done through Zoom, though. I
Yeah.
just had a arbitration yesterday. We had it through Zoom, so everything's through Zoom at this point, at least on the civil side. Criminal, they're starting to have trials for criminal, jury trials for criminal, so they're moving that process along.
Yeah, it's interesting, man, how this last year, the lockdowns affected everybody. And, man, I heard it said Amazon, some of the wealthiest companies, they got even wealthier. I think they earned $500 billion more. They increased their net worth, that is. It was between $500 billion and $600 billion, $500 billion. The wealthy, some of the Amazon, some of the different companies. And, of course, we all probably know a few business owners that went out of business, small and medium-sized businesses. Kind of a sad play of events last year with the, the COVID-19 and the lockdowns.
Yeah, sometimes you got to be a little bit lucky, right? No one saw this coming. And if you had a business that could cater and provide a service to someone that was effectively shut down and locked at home, and they had the funds to pay you, you were going to do really, really well. And unfortunately, if you depended on foot traffic, the malls and the shops at the malls, for example, you did not so well. And, I think a lot of malls are going to go under. I think that trend was already happening before COVID. COVID sealed its fate.
Right.
But then again, like we talked about, unfortunately, when something bad happens, maybe something good happens, someone's going to pick that property up because typically that property is in a well-desired neighborhood, and they're going to redevelop it and refurbish it in some form or fashion. Yeah,
absolutely. That was a trend. So that kind of on the topic here, also you look at Zoom and people doing more Zooms. You just mentioned the lawsuits, the court cases being handled by Zoom. How do you see that playing out? I mean, it looks like a lot of the again another tech company, creating just a great platform to help people communicate. Specifically to real estate, commercial real estate, there's so many different niches. That's what's great about real estate, right? There's so many different niches. We just talked about landlords, tenants on the residential side. You've got commercial as well, people looking to house their employees, maybe relocating a business. What do you see happening in the commercial space, real estate wise?
I don't think this comes as a surprise, but if you are in the high dollar office sector, you have an issue. You have an issue because people have figured out that their employees can be just as productive and efficient working from home, sometimes more productive and efficient because there's not distractions for other co-employees coming to talk to you throughout the day. They could sit at home and probably do as much work in a shorter amount of time and be more productive than if they were sitting there. Now, if they're not sitting there, that means you need less space. And if you have less space that you need, that means you're paying less rent. And so if they can get the same productivity from an employee, maybe more, but if they can just get the same, they'll want to cut back from, example, if they had 4 floors downtown, they want 2 floors downtown. And people will going to have more office space available, probably at a cheaper price.
Right.
So I think the commercial office space is going to take a hit and has taken a severe hit. And I think that trend is going to continue for a number of years until more people just move here. So I know that some of the largest law firms in the country have decided that support staff are going to work from home. And so if that's a trend, nationwide, and they have literally millions of square feet of office space, they don't need that much. And so anytime they can affect their dollar line and make more money, they're obviously going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Even some of the big corporations like Salesforce, et cetera, they've all kind of fallen into that theme as well. Locally, great point here too is you look at the malls. I walk around the malls here and there. I try to avoid them nowadays, but since you can do most of your shopping other ways. But I was in there the other day. I think I was trying to get my iPhone taken care of, some repair maintenance on it. And I look around at some of those specialty stores, and I just think to myself, there's specialty in like a watch brand or different type. And I just think, how do these places stay in business in that? Because I know they got to be paying pretty high rents in there.
Rents, yes, I think the answer is correct. I think, and so you're talking about a rent in a mall, and they're paying a minimum probably $15,000 to $35,000 a month, depending on the size of the store. Yeah. If it's one of those 2-story stores, it could exceed 6 figures. They can't sustain that any longer. They realize that every time they sell something through the internet, they're saving money because they don't have to pay rent on it. Just coming straight from their warehouse to the consumer, there's no middle stop. I don't know what the answer to that question is. There's got to be a lot smarter people than me try to figure that out, but that space is better utilized perhaps in a different way. So I don't think even the big box stores are going to want smaller spaces. They may still want some place or someone to walk around and look at, but I don't think they're going to be as big. I don't think the selection there is going to be as much as it will be online, because it's just cheaper to keep your stuff in a warehouse than it is at a retail establishment. At a warehouse, you could spend $8 a foot compared to $26, $35 a square foot and higher. So there's definitely changes going to happen severely in the retail market. So the office spaces and retail are going to change significantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we know, real estate on the residential side is booming. Real estate's hot, residential real estate, vacant land. A lot of my vacant land properties that I've got listed in the $1 million range are, going under contract, receiving offers. Developers are saying, okay, now's the time. Let's go ahead and start the process, because it takes, 8, 12, 18 months, 15 months sometimes to develop these properties. So that's something you got to kind of prep the seller for. Is like, hey, these are long-term deals. It's not a quick play. And then once they get the zoning they want, the permits that they want to build, then it kind of changes that game. But Frank, we're coming to a break here. Do you have time to hang on with us one more segment?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, awesome. More with attorney Frank Miranda here. When we come back, I think I'm going to ask a little bit about COVID, what you're seeing. We've heard these lawsuits potentially about COVID-19 and how you could sue business owners, et cetera. Kind of dispel some of those myths there, and more from our expert contributors, as well as Sarah Snyder coming up as well. Mold Zero in the house. And we'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Ryan.